Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. So let's look back at the last 12 months of gaming. Let's look at my top 10 games that I played this year. And I played and made videos for the biggest variety of games of any year on my channel. That's why this video is possible here. All of the top 10 were my first time playing them, except for one, but in that I accomplished something I had never done before, and it was long one of my top gaming goals. 2 of the 10 games came out this year, and 1 was made available in global this year. 4 are remakes or remasters, and when I talk about them, I'll mention when the original came out and when the version I played came out. But as for my channel here, I really am winding down the mobile game focus. I want NieR Reincarnation to be the last mobile game I cover in depth, and this winding down coincides with the winding down of the industry. And my channel is slowly transitioning to a more general gaming channel, and I want to continue that transition during 2024. As for the games I truly love, I really consider myself a retro gamer at heart, maybe like Generation 5 and before. So me now playing on Switch or PlayStation 4 is kind of out of character for me. But let's start with number 10, and this is playing in the background. That is Sua Game. This came out in 2021, but it was picked up by some virtual YouTubers where it gained popularity, and then it got a global release a couple months ago. And it's one of the feel-good gaming development stories of the year. As a game, it's a cute, polished puzzle game that's easy to pick up and easy to put down. But as a barometer for the gaming industry, it is much more serious and weighty. The Japanese mobile game industry bubble is bursting, so publishers and developers are slowly turning away from the model and slowly embracing indie development, and as Sua Game shows, there is an appetite for that within and without Japan. Next is Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, which came out on the Game Boy Advanced in 2003, and then I'll link to the videos that I've made for each of these games down below. But yeah, this was a classic. It was by the creators of Symphony of the Night, which is one of the greatest games ever. Same idea gameplay-wise. Travel through a 2D castle, find weapons and power-ups, use different combinations to reflect your playstyle, and beat big bosses. It's a very satisfying sequel, I guess you could call it, to Symphony of the Night, although it is better in a lot of ways, and then listening to people that really love those Metroidvania games, a lot of them do consider this superior to Symphony of the Night. Okay, next, number 8, Final Fantasy X-2. I played this late December 2022, but let's include it here. Originally came out 2003 for the PlayStation 2. I'm playing the Switch version, 2019 release. This was great to do because I made good on a goal that I had had for over a decade, and that was to get the mascot dress sphere, which I would argue is one of the highest peaks to climb in gaming, not including luck-based drops kinds of things or like platinum trophies kinds of things. Is this a game that I could recommend to anyone else? However, not really, unless you really love Final Fantasy X, or you really love job systems in Final Fantasy. This is one of my favorites. For those kinds of players, I can recommend this game. Next, number 7, this is a remake that came out in 2014 originally. I played the 2021 version on Switch. That was Fatal Frame, Maiden of the Black Water. Besides being a return to not only a franchise that I love, Fatal Frame, but also a return to a gaming genre that I love, survival horror, and most surprising of all, this was one of the most moving stories I had experienced in a game. I was sobbing at the end, no joke. But it was fun to go through and explain the very Japanesey stuff in the game, like fashion, architecture, history, and societal problems. And being kind of a cultural ambassador of Japanese culture to the world is one of the best characteristics of my channel, and I want to do more of that in the future. Alright, number 6, this came out this year. Since it's 6, we'll do Armored Core 6. I'm not done with it, but I expect to finish it maybe early next year. I'm taking it slow. But yeah, I already know that I love it. I've been dying to play this since it was announced, and actually getting my hands on it, it has lived up to my expectations. It's very different from any game I've played recently. Different genre, but maybe it's most like Virtua Fighter 4, very technical and very fast, with a lot to think about at once. It's definitely maxing out my cognitive limits. Alright, next. Number 5, Magic the Gathering Arena. Originally came out in 2019, came out in 2020 on iOS, which I'm playing it on. That's when I also started on it. But yeah, it's been just a reliable yet unobtrusive constant in my life. I can play like 3 or 4 games a day and put it down, feeling like I accomplished something. Or I can spend all day grinding the ladders, and it never gets old, because the second it does, I can switch to a different deck or a different format, and then it will feel totally fresh again. Also, with the infinite deck building possibilities, it's a great outlet for self-expression, which is very important to me as a gamer. And if you told my 10-year-old self that someday I would play Magic on a little TV I held in my hand, and I could play as much as I liked, against people around the world, instantly, any time of the day, and all for free, my mind would have exploded. And I have a feeling that after NieR Reincarnation ends, I will continue to play this. And so actually this will be my last and only mobile game I'm playing. Alright, number 4 is Dark Souls Remastered. Originally came out in 2011. The version I played on Switch, Remastered 2018. Dark Souls 3 is one of my favorite games ever, but in a move some years ago, I gave away my PlayStation and I wanted something to stand in for Dark Souls 3 until I got a PlayStation again. I got a Switch to play NieR Automata, so I got Dark Souls Remastered since it was the only Souls game on the console. But rather than being an inferior but good enough temporary replacement, it stands shoulder to shoulder with Dark Souls 3, but has the added benefit of memories from like watching PewDiePie suck at it to watching my best friend play it in real time. Between this and Dark Souls 3, you could give me either as my only game on a desert island, and I think I would be equally happy. Number 3, this came out this year, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. This was quite the event for me. I had not played a Zelda game since Ocarina of Time, and I had never played an open world game, I don't think like Shadow of Colossus or Grand Theft Auto 3 counts. I loved it, and then when I was done, one of my favorite things to do all year was to watch other people react to the big story parts. Specifically the intro, the dragon tears, and then the last boss, and the ending. And I'm sure I've watched over 24 people, Japanese and not, play through those parts. And also, like Fatal Frame, the thing that was most surprising to me was the story. I was impressed with how well it was put together and executed, especially considering the non-linear structure of the game. Number 2 was NieR Replicant. Originally came out in 2010. I played the remake in 2021. This is going to look like recency bias, but NieR has been such a big part of the last few years of my life, and this game has been such a big hole in my experience that it was fantastic to finally get around to it, and I feel like everything else, Automata, the anime, and Reincarnation, is all going to be enhanced for having done it. I bought a Switch for Automata, and I bought a PlayStation for Replicant, and they were both super worth it just for those games. And amazingly, I enjoyed Replicant as much, if not more, than Automata. Still thinking on that one. They each have their strengths, both games are very thought-provoking, but Replicant has the more moving human drama, as it were, with both the personal journeys and interpersonal relationships being very touching. I like Kaine and Emil and the protagonist way more than anyone in Automata. But yeah, playing this game just kind of felt like very at home. And of course, number 1 is NieR Reincarnation. A lot of unfortunate things happened to the game this year, with game modes and banners and developer flubs and power creep, and I've been complaining about it all year, but none of it has affected my core original reason to play, which is the story. It is still above and beyond anything I've seen on mobile, and a lot of what I've seen on console, and as I take in more of the Yokoverse and other games, or the anime, or the stage plays, or whatever, my interest and investment in Reincarnation only grows. And I talked about this recently, but through Reincarnation, I've gotten more in touch with other hobbies like fashion and philosophy and translation, so I owe the game a lot. Also, if it weren't for this game, I would have left the mobile game world, but because it is so different from other mobile games, looking at it from various angles, like an industry angle, has also made it really interesting to watch from that point of view, and it's worth sticking around just for that. Alright, so that's my list. Some special mentions. Metroid Prime, they did a remake, I think, this year. I tried it and I didn't like it, so I didn't get past, I don't know, the first or second part. Alice, I played a little bit until Global shut down. That was worth the time. Resident Evil 4, the remake or remaster on the Switch, not the new one. Played that a little bit, got stuck on a boss and never picked it up. Maybe I'll go back to that someday. Error Game Reset, a mobile game by Sega that crashed and burned pretty quickly. And then King's Bounty, an old favorite from the Sega Genesis. And NieR Automata. I just made a few videos about it. I did not play through the whole game again in order to get those last little parts. I just continued the file that I started a year ago. But yeah, that does deserve a mention, I think. And then, next year, 2024, I would like to play Ghost of Tsushima. Hopefully that will give me some fodder to talk about Japanese culture or whatever. Bloodborne, I would like to play that before I pick up Elden Ring, which I will pick up someday. Final Fantasy XII, I'm in the middle of a playthrough of that, but I will get back to that, I promise. And then, I would like to play more retro games. I specifically want to play more games that were, like, very influential on the NieR series in particular. I think there might be some eye-opening stuff there. Okay, in the comments, let me know what you liked this year, regardless of when it came out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.